Another exciting episode of Chasing Liberty with Jake, brought to you live from beautiful Door County, Wisconsin. And today is joined with me my very special co-host, Mr. Jess Heisel from Looking Forward with Jess. How are we doing this evening, Jess?
I am doing spectacular. Spectacular.
Excellent. It
I
is
am.
wonderful.
Since I've dropped out of the run for governor, man, I'll tell you, I've gotten so much of my honeydew list done at home. It's been great. The manual labor, getting back to that, oh, I love it. Absolutely love it. It's good for the soul, right? Like walking
Oh,
outside.
absolutely. If anybody is ever in need of experiencing that, manual email at www.dcfarmforvets.org. We've got lots of work to be done here on the farm. But little tired here tonight because last night was primary time here in the state of Wisconsin. So we were up late watching the primary results roll in from the Democrat, Republican, and had to remind the poll worker to list all parties, Libertarian and Constitution Party primaries that were listed on the ballot. So very exciting night. In fact, we watched literally every single establishment Republican win, and all the grassroots candidates got squashed. Not surprising. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. The primaries are where the grassroots candidates go to die. Period. It's a scam set up and it's designed that way. They can get you out of the way with minimal effort. Now, I, as a libertarian, ran for a third-party candidate, will be listed in the general election. I happened to win my primary election last night. I didn't have a candidate, but that's besides the point. I still want to chalk this up to my first electoral victory. It was a good time. But
So there's some write-ins or something like that against you, though, right?
yeah, oh yeah, we had a couple of write-ins that wrote in a libertarian write-in. So I mean, I guess not everyone's happy with me being their libertarian candidate, which is fine. That is part of the democratic process that we do have.
So I'm looking at like the District 8 stuff, and this I've got Milwaukee Journal Senate, and I'll bring it up here online in here a little bit.
Yeah.
But I don't see what's annoying is I don't see libertarians or independents or anybody else on this.
Not one bit. We had to search hard as to any kind of information as to any kind of numbers for the Libertarian Party or any party candidates at all. And actually, we found out through actual Ballotpedia when they put the nice little check mark next to your name that you actually won the primary. So that was the only digital information we were able to find as far as any election results for the 2 or 3 Libertarian candidates that we had running. Myself, Neil Harmon for Secretary of State, and Mr. Carl Hutton. But yeah, it was so fun watching the Carl Hutton, I believe, is in the 63rd or 55th.
Okay.
I'd have to double check.
Okay, gotcha. For that district, all right. And of course, Neil is Secretary of State.
Neil Harmon's running the Secretary of State, yeah.
Yeah. Congratulations, buddy.
Congratulations. Yay. So we all won our primaries. It was a good time. Neil came up to the watch party as well, and we all got together. Pot of libertarians. We had several members from the Fox Valley affiliate, and several other voters came through and picked up some yard signs and some literature. But as always, we're really having the time of our lives doing this. So
I want to get an update on your campaign here. But before we do that, tonight we do want to cover some of the election stuff that happened and go over some of the results and that. Briefly talk about maybe IRS, maybe education, since schools are going to be starting soon. And if I can, I want to squeeze in some questions from buildingunity.com. So, right, Building Unity.
You got a lot to cover.
Building Unity, Wisconsin. Yeah, there's 5 questions that they've sent me that I'm going to see how far we can get on those. And
excellent.
You and maybe your libertarian view. So, all right, campaign update me. What's going? Okay, so you did the primary, so that's over. You're on the ballot. Now what?
Now what? Now we hit the ground running. We are still waiting to hear the results as to whether or not there was a Republican primary candidate against Mike Gallagher, Mr. Sean Claremont. He unfortunately did not make it, which is fine. We're going to start working with him. And there was also a Democrat write-in candidate. Yeah, I called him this afternoon. Good guy.
Really?
I'm excited for that. Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Good.
Because we're gonna see where this new friendship's gonna go. Because and we need all the help that we can get across the finish line. But we're also waiting to hear back on any. What was that?
Oh, no. I actually heard the guy was actually a very nice guy, and which tells me
Oh
that
yeah,
he's going to get crushed by your established Republicans, right? And that proved it. I think
oh,
he got 15% of the vote. So yeah, but he's a really good guy and he
yeah.
cares. He wants to change, right? Anyway, so sorry.
Someone wants to. You're right, but that's the is. If anybody wants to change the United States of America for the better and work towards freedom and liberty, I want to work with you. I don't care what party line you are from. There's some stuff that we're going to agree upon. There's some stuff we're going to disagree on. And honestly, if we agreed on every little detail, life would be definitely pretty boring. So you got to have some stuff to debate. We're also waiting to hear the official results of the writing candidate for the Democrat Party. So it's not looking hopeful. Yeah. Last minute they tried to stab in a writing candidate. So we'll see if she can pull this off. It doesn't look according to her last post, she's about 1,610 signatures short from receiving the almost 7,000 writing signatures that she needs to be placed on the ballot in November. So it's looking like it. Yeah, I believe it was 5% of the total votes in the last election or something like that. I'm not fully certain, but from my understanding, it's 5% of something. So 5% of the total vote. But what they had figured was 6,800 and some odd signatures, almost 7,000 signatures, and they came up significantly short from that. But obviously, these aren't the official certified results yet, so they're just going off of the unofficial results. But didn't look hopeful for him, which is all right. We'll get Mike kicked out for you.
Here's the way I see it: if you don't have your ducks in a row and you don't get your signatures when you're supposed to, when you start in April, right? And you have to have them done by June 1st. If you don't have your signatures done, if the Democrat Party can't get their ducks in a row by then, what do they expect? I mean, if you're going to half-ass this, I'm sorry, if you're going to half this, then
there it is.
Yeah. Now they have to have 7,000 votes or signatures or write-in candidates. This is ridiculous. I mean, get your stuff in a row. If you are a party that brings in millions of dollars and you can't even get one candidate set up, why even try? Get out of the way. Let somebody else that cares.
Anyway. Some of us have been at it for 18 plus months already, trying to knock on doors, going to events, been at every single thing that you could possibly stick your nose into. And I can tell you, this is a daunting trail. Oh my. Win or lose, we're definitely excited to take a little break from the campaign trail come November 9th.
You just crossed under November. You just crossed under 3 months, buddy.
All right.
Hang in there for 3 more months. I know.
And we've got lots of stuff coming up this weekend. I've got the Door County Fair up here this weekend. Saturday, I've got a breakfast with a donor. Then we have what else do we have on the docket? The hamburger days Saturday morning. Got the parade. We're going to do the parade. Then I'm going out to the Mohican Stockbridge Reservation powwow, and then after that, there's a live band up in Lena. We're going to hit up with Molten Gator Joe.
What town?
We'll stop on out, see if we can. In Lena.
Lena. Okay.
Yep. So we're gonna see if we can't grab that microphone for a second and force my way in front of a crowd of old honky tonk whiskey drinking folks.
Wait, that sounds like you're doing all that on Saturday. You doing?
That is.
Oh my goodness. Good luck, buddy.
It's Saturday's gonna be a brutal day.
Yeah. Get your face out there. Get your name out there, buddy.
So what's the time? Oh, and I got the Door County Fair Friday night.
Here's a great question. Are you going to reach out to the Democratic write-in person?
Yeah, as soon as last message, she's still chasing ballot access, but whatever the Democrats are willing to work, or when the Republicans are willing to work for that matter. We're here to work with people to move the country forward. Um, Plain and simple. That's what this is supposed to be about. We are supposed to be fighting down and trying to get the wealth and prosperity of this country back in the hands of the American people. So if there is any legislation that does so, it's with the Democratic side, we are willing to work with. But as far as reaching out to her specifically, I did leave a few comments on her Facebook pages, and she just kind of said, "Yay, we love democracy and other parties to participate in the electoral process," and left it at that. So there's that. What I found most interesting is the level of free press that she was getting in order to actually accomplish this. Yeah. Even the Door County Pulse up here, okay? Isn't that something? The Peninsula Pulse wrote a great big article about the 8th Congressional District, listed Mike Gallagher, listed his primary, Sean Claremont, and then listed a nice, beautiful article about this Democratic writing candidate. And again, we were mentioned a grand total. Are you ready for it?
Yep.
The suspense, 0 times. 0. I know. Everyone's shocked. But that's pretty much par for the course.
Would you mind if you can you email me that information? And
for the Peninsula Pulse?
Yeah. I would love it. Peninsula Pulse. That's all I need. And I would love to contact them. Can I do that just for fun?
Absolutely. And make sure you let them know I'm literally here in their backyard.
What town is this, Peninsula Pulse?
Peninsula Pulse is for the peninsula of Door County.
Right, but what town are they in?
Sturgeon Bay.
Sturgeon Bay. I'm gonna reach out to them. And I found this as an independent as well, that you can't get that coverage, right? You can't. You can reach out, you can do all that stuff, and nobody responds. They won't even try to respond. Or if they do, they're just like, "Thank you for your time, appreciate what you do," but at this time, no.
That's part of the control. So if the media is not willing to even list our names as being a candidate, even on the ballot, and despite the fact that we've done work to be there on that ballot than either the two major establishments did, the people don't take us as a genuine candidate. It's terrible. This is as far away from what our founding fathers envisioned as we've ever been, and it continues to grow in the wrong direction.
I think I want to start contacting them. I think there's going to be some repercussions. I think it's time. I think it's time that independents, libertarians, Green Party, everybody starts pushing back, and whatever it takes.
Everybody.
And I think this year we have to make a precedence, because if it's not fixed in the 2022 elections, it's going to keep going, right? So I'm going to do my best.
Look at this contact here. I contacted every news station this morning. I have yet to hear a response from them. I heard several times Mike Gallagher is uncontested. I know, Michelle. This is exactly why we fight. We are at the precipice of the next American Revolution. Right now, currently, we are in the midst of a political civil war. As many as people don't want to admit it or not. And to give an example of why how we know we are in a political civil war, the FBI just raided the home of the former president of the United States. Now, guilty or not, this isn't a discussion about that, but the mere fact that we have the FBI raiding former president of the United States speaks volumes as to where we are politically in the United States of America. That's scary. That is scary. And it leads a lot of people that we have in our institutions. We the people have in our institutions is at an all-time low. We've just seen the FBI raid Donald Trump's private residence a month ago, when it was just 6 years ago, they turned a complete blind eye to 30,000 emails from Hillary Clinton. They literally sat on the floor of Congress and just said, yeah, we're just not going to prosecute her.
But they took her computer.
I
think that's I know.
After it was smashed.
I know.
It's beyond.
There's some other Republicans too that they've also confiscated their phone records and some other stuff too. So there's stuff behind this. I think the whole process behind the January 6th and how they're doing their investigation is by far one-sided. Now, here's a question for you. All right, they're able to do this now. November kicks off. Republicans are going to get their ass or win. Democrats are going to get their asses kicked. When that happens, there's going to be some stuff coming back. So I was going to save this for later. Check this out. All right. When the GOP takes over in 2023, what investigations do you think they're going to take on? Because let's face it, January 6th, they're going to push back on, right? So I documented some. And what do you guys think? Because I know there's a lot of stuff.
Sure. Man.
There's a lot of stuff that they're going to try to go after to try to destroy the Democratic Party. And these are some of the things I think that they're going to try to target. And it's going to create more of that division, right? More people fighting, more people going after each other over these type of things. Yeah. So it's going to be interesting. I'm not going to show that last comment, but you can read it. Really
you know that guy? All right.
So I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be a couple of these. I really do.
And that's the thing. A lot of this investigation stuff like that doesn't need to happen, but more often than not, it's actually used as a ploy. It's like smoke and mirrors to keep your attention drawn away from what's really happening.
Yeah.
So look at us over here investigating this while we pass on authoritative laws.
Yeah, I just deleted the last dude, kicked him out. I thought you knew him. I thought he was one of your old military buddies or something like that, messing with you.
No, that's a big negative.
Yeah, he's gone.
So I wonder if that was like code for "I love you." It may have been.
I'm gonna do some research on this guy.
All right,
research on this guy.
I like it.
I think there's gonna be. I think Michelle here says the best. Stop the investigations. Get to work for the people, and that's what you were saying.
Yes, that's exactly it. These investigations have come to the position where they're just using it to pad their pockets of some buddies and create. It's added to the circus. Okay, give them circus and keep them fed or give them bread, and you can continue to steal their freedoms and liberties.
Yeah.
And this is what it is. They've just turned our entire political system into a circus. Let's just rinse and repeat. The best way that we could stop, okay, follow me on this. The best way that we can stop the corruption and have things to investigate is if we take the power and limit it away from the government. Okay, if they weren't doing anything, there wouldn't be anything for them to investigate. They were doing their jobs so they could be transparent from abroad because they're only doing what the Constitution limits them to do.
So
stuff, the work.
Oh, go ahead.
How much the important work gets done within your local communities where we can actually participate on a regular basis.
So how are you and the libertarians going to work for that?
Oh, yeah. Great question. We actually advocate to repeal laws.
Okay.
And that repealing the law where the process comes into place. And when we start tying that stuff together, and it's going to be very, very difficult to be able to get anything done as a lone libertarian, even multiple libertarians. But that is the message that we will be sending. And that's the information that we do bring to Washington, D.C. We're also going to be pushing to actually thin the station out so they're not these great big massive omnibus bills where you're voting on multiple things at once. It'll be single line legislation. So it's a change of culture of the entire elected body is what we're aiming to change here. And we're going to stand and preach our message as far and as wide as we can see. And if we have to stand in the way, we'll stand in the way as well.
Attaboy. And if you get in there in District 8, let's face it, you are a libertarian in a pool of Democrats and Republicans.
It's going to be awesome.
You may be beating your head against the wall, but how are you going to fight against that machine, right? It's a machine. So how does
it's thick and it's ugly.
How does Jacob stand out in that machine and put a hurt on those guys and girl and the machine?
The biggest thing we do is we stand on our principles. When we get to Washington, the mere fact that we would exist in Washington is going to start sending a message that we are a force to be reckoned with. That the people are tired of this. There was a saying that came up from the George Jorgensen campaign as every libertarian message to the establishment that our love of liberty is stronger than the fear that they sell. And that is true. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I'm going to be able to accomplish extraordinary amounts during my time in Congress. I'm going to have more than an uphill battle. And I'm sure that's going to be a battle that others have had before, even within the major parties, as long as they were standing out and acting with integrity, you're going to have an uphill battle. So it doesn't matter really the fact that I'm a libertarian. I think it's going to matter more that I'm actually being the voice of the people is going to be the biggest thing that stands in my way of getting the other two opposition sides to actually work with me. So I guess I look at that a little more differently.
No, I think well said. I also think that there's more libertarians out there than people know. And I've learned that.
There is.
Just because
I just want to be the tip of the spear. I'll be the tip of the spear. We'll open it up. We're going to get elected. We're going to get in there and more will follow. Okay. More people are going to hear that message. What I myself in front of every single news station, camera possible, and give the libertarian point of view to as many states as I can.
Really quick too, I see some people commenting on your Jacob Vandenplas is live now Facebook page, Facebook thing, and I know, right? You got a lot of comments in there, but they're not showing up here in the ticker because I think the ticker is feeding off of a different Facebook page. I think it's feeding off the Looking Forward. So I'll look at tying those in together. I know, right? Michelle, Matt Kuchin, hopefully I said that right. Can we send them all to jail? Was one of her comments.
Can we send them all to jail?
Can we send them all to jail?
Man. If they're guilty, yes. Was just there's a great article I just posted up on my Facebook page, Jacob Vandenplas for Congress. You should definitely check it out. It's all about human trafficking and the lack of investigation into the co-conspirators of Epstein. And you should definitely go and read it. It's an amazing article by an individual who is very, very well. This was a victim of sex trafficking herself, so this was very, very passionate, and a really incredible woman that put this article together. So definitely look at that.
Excellent. And as long as we shrink the government, we will get along. That's my rule when meeting new people. From John Shaw. Well, I think this kind
John Shaw. I miss you, bud.
I think this kind of goes back to the libertarians, right? You take away from the big government, make things more local.
Yes.
Government out of the way, right?
Yep. So when you focus on the decentral, that word is the decentral. We need to focus on decentralizing, repealing legislation, and that repeal of legislation is exactly what starts putting the wealth and prosperity of the country back in the hands of the American people, so they can make their decisions within their own how to solve these issues. Okay, Washington D.C. doesn't have problem solvers. Okay, we don't have the cream of the crop elected into our elected elites here, we have really good fundraisers. Okay, and we just saw that with the election results. The top money spenders were the ones that won. Period. Okay, so we don't have the people in Washington or really in the state governments that have the best ideas. We have really good fundraisers that talk a good talk, but when it comes to having integrity to stand up against corporate cronyism, they bend like a worm. Okay, this is what we got to fix. This is why the decentralization is important. We can bring everything back closer to home so we can hold our politicians accountable and we can actually see our tax dollars in use.
So I see it a little differently. I see them in them instead of bending over, I see them caving because of why? Well, I'm a follow the money guy. So when I want to follow the money, I look at the campaign contributions. Who's donating to them? What are they voting for? Okay, so if they're going to vote this direction, what are they getting out of it? And we've talked about this before, where we're scared when they do something, and we're scared when we get pissed when they don't do anything. So we're caught between a rock and a hard place, right? Yep. Yeah, do your damn jobs, represent the people, but then when they do it, we're like, oh crap, why did you do that? What are you getting?
Yeah. Yes. And if you follow the money, and that's why we got to start counting on, or stop counting on, our government to resolve problems. I mean, just think about it. Okay, even on the big scope of things. Okay, to the conclusion that there are two rules or two solutions to all the country's ails: a red solution or a blue solution. Both of them, more often than not, are really crappy solutions to very critical problems. When you decentralize stuff and you bring everything back down into your local communities, we can actually tap into the ingenuity of all 330 million people in the United States of America to solve problems. It's also a whole lot easier to actually participate. You want to see something and that, believe it or not, that's progressive thinking. I know, I said it. Scary words. Ooh.
Great.
But being able. Oh shit. Okay. Oops. I swore and didn't. You didn't forgot the buzzer. Okay. There we go. Little delay on the buzzer.
You're right on those, but keep talking. So you're progressive.
Oh yeah, those are actually the most progressive thing we can do in this country is decentralize the government and let people work within their own communities. Yeah. But if you think here's how this goes. So think about how insulting our federal government is, okay? When our federal government steps up and says, you know what, we can solve these problems, they're calling you an idiot. They're saying you are not smart enough to work within your own communities to solve these problems, so we're going to solve it for you.
Okay, but wouldn't some things be better handled at the state level? Or so this is a question. So
yeah,
let's take education. All right, cool. Let's jump in.
Yeah.
All right. So you've got public schools, right?
Yep.
At a state level, and then you've got, of course, everything's local past that. You know, your districts and stuff like that. And then I know the bad part is they filter all their money from the state down to the organizations. So if you run it back local, how is that going to work when a lot of your communities then don't have the taxes and the revenue to be able to support the schools?
So the funding of the schools is a different conversation to the control in how schools function and operate. Sure. So we'll talk first and foremost on your first, how schools should function. Okay, schools should function with between parents, teachers, and the school board. That's it, baseline. Okay. Now that's when we actually get to the beans and the bullets. That's when the good stuff happens, when we actually get the details of the actual education system out for the students that are best fit for that school. Okay, custom education for your kids. Now, what I would say is we do need to have department. Oh, case in point, Door County here has 4 different. We do need to have something. We do need to have this up, but it gets built from the bottom up. Okay. So, case in point, right now, Door County has 4 schools. I live in Door County. It's an easy example. We have Southern Door, we have Sturgeon Bay, we have Sevastopol, Gibraltar, and we also have Washington Island. Okay. All four of those schools have an elected school board. Okay. Each one of those four elected school boards can nominate one person and vote on that one person to go sit at the county level school board. So now that's how you coordinate all your county level stuff between schools. And this is to help share ideas. And if there needs to be issues on funding, if there's one school that's got more, we can share. Smaller project stuff, not a big deal. Okay. Now, after that, you can take one individual from each county level school board and nominate them and vote them up to the state level school board. And in Wisconsin, they have 72 counties. So then you would have a big group, 72 people strong or whatnot, sitting at the state level school board to discuss those issues as far as funding and if we can borrow from this school or where it needs to be. Okay, we can do that. Where this comes into play, then we can do the federal level as well. But case in point, this is built from the bottom up versus top down. And it's not going to be a perfect system. Okay, there's always going to be flaws in every single system. But this way, and don't get me wrong, this is a big reshaping and thinking of stuff, but it's at least built with individuals who've been elected by the people. It's built from the bottom up, and it is most accountable to the taxpayers and to those that are contributing to their communities.
I like it. I kind of like it because you're taking your local schools and you're kind of generalizing them in an area. And then,
Yep.
So you got your local, and then you generalize a little bit bigger, and then a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger. But you're not creating so many levels and so many people, right? So you eliminate a lot of that bureaucracy between them.
Bureaucracy is expensive, okay? And the biggest portion of this, and what is absolutely critical, okay, so think about this. The whole entire idea and methodology behind developing the Department of Education is so that we can improve education for the country abroad, which is great. Okay, everybody agrees that we should have the best education systems across the United States of America. No one's going to argue with you on that. How we get there is what we always get disputed upon. Okay. The biggest thing that we do when we start building up these organizations from the ground up is so that we can share ideas. Okay. You can talk about what's working in this school, the issues that they are having in this school, how they've resolved them. That communication is what is key. It might be a program that's working really good and say that we can implement here in Wisconsin. Being able to share those ideas between educators and people who've been elected to these positions by the people is critically important.
So there's a there's a networking thing there. So you work with other areas.
Yes.
Right? So I know that there are some school organizations out there, and Wisconsin Rural Schools Alliance is one of them. I think they're just targeting your rural schools. I want to say there's 210-ish roughly rural schools, and they've got a lot of representation from the majority of those. I think they're up to like 180, 190 or something right now. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So you have all these rural schools fighting to be heard, and they're not being heard right now, right? They know what the problems are. They've made solutions for these, and they presented them, but there's just nothing happening. So the problem now is your state government, your big government, is not filtering it down. So therein, your solution or idea to be able to fix that, bottom up instead of top down, you get more representation of who you are. It's just like if a small town has an idea on how to fix some of their stuff, it's not going to work for your neighborhood.
Yeah.
Different areas need different solutions. And the
Correct.
overall arching, hey, we're going to give everybody this, doesn't always work.
No, and it's very expensive. Bureaucracy is expensive. It really, really is. I mean, and it doesn't solve anything. When you have to be able to. When I make the comment of when the government tries to fix stuff from the top down, okay, they have good intentions, but it's a failure. So where where you're bringing up, well, if you set a flat standard across the entirety of the country, okay, some schools are going to be below that, and a lot of schools are already going to be above that. And now you're dumbing down those schools that are already above that. How do we accomplish this without cutting those other schools short? Okay, that's different. You can't do that from the top down, but we can do that from the bottom up. Bottom up is where the power comes from. That's when we can actually tap into, here's another scare, diversity. Yeah. But not the diversity of races, it's the diversity of ideas, because there's so many of us. We have a lot of ideas. If we sit down to the table and map this out, we can do some really good stuff. But we got to be able to participate. And one of the biggest reasons why we can't participate in our local level governance and with our school boards and at the level that we would really like to participate, because I'm sure we all care about our schools, local governments, but right now the government has our dollar inflated by 90%. That's difficult. That puts us all in a position to be able to work really hard to try to survive.
Well, this goes
at one point in time in this
inflation.
What's that?
Inflation, right?
Yeah. Inflation is in my eyes is one of the biggest drivers as to why we the people aren't able to participate at the level we would like to when it comes to our local level governance. Okay, we're all working hard to survive. You're already working a 40, 50, sometimes 60-hour work week. You're coming home, you have a home to take care of, you've got kids, you get the whole 9 yards. It's hard to be able to pack up and go to a school board meeting or to go to your city council meeting on top of all that. It is, it's a lot. I get it. Now, you go back to the 50s and the 60s, you had one person that worked a job that was able to afford an entire home, feed 5 kids, medical bills, and the whole shebang. Now we're at the point in this country, through the inflation that we are seeing, which is getting astronomically worse, we have both parents have to go to work, and usually working well over 40 hours, sometimes a part-time job on the weekend on top of that. We have never worked this hard in the entire species of the humans than what we are right now. And then when you do finally start to get a little bit ahead, you got the government that comes in and robs you of 40% of what's left over. So by the time you factor in your tax, federal tax, licensing fees, embargoes, the entire impact that the government has on your income is a little over 40%. That's why we can't fund our schools. That's why we can't fund our fire. That's why the fire department down the street has to have a raffle and a picnic every single year to be able to raise funds to actually come and put your fire out in your house every year. We're just doing this backwards.
Some of them need to be run a little bit more efficient too.
I can't argue that.
I'm definitely.
But that's again
that's
definitely comes back to the participation in your local governance.
If sometimes if you have a 10-year-old truck and you say nope, we need a new truck, and you get rid of a 10-year-old truck, I'm sorry, it sprays water. I just disagree with some of that stuff. Some of them run way better than others, but it comes down to the management. And this is the only part that I'm scared of on the libertarian side, is you want to bring more back to local. Well, I don't think right now we have the leadership locally to be able to handle that. And I love the idea. I just want to see it happen a little bit slower. That's all. That would be the only thing. As that power and that money comes back, those people are not.
We like the leadership at the top too. Yeah, we like the leadership in Washington D.C. Where's the lack of leadership everywhere? I get that. I mean, that's why we're running. And there's a quote that I said a lot of years ago, that there's a difference between a manager and a leader. Okay, managers just barely manage to get by, and they actually convince you to do a good job out of fear of losing your job. Okay, and that's what we have right now in our politics. It's all based off of fear. Vote for me or the other guy's going to ruin the country. Vote for me or the other guy's going to ruin the country. Okay, leadership is inspiring. If you are working hard in your job because you're afraid of simply disappointing your boss, that's how you know you're following a leader. That's two different animals. It's two different skill sets, and right now we lack it in our elected offices. We lack it in a tremendous amount of positions within our corporate offices and within our business. There's just an overall general lack of leadership across the nation.
if you get in, or I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. When your ass gets in, when your gets in, you need to contact me on the education formula across Wisconsin because that's messed up. And I think if we can fix the education formula right now, that's going to fix it long term until a new concept or idea like you're talking about can come around. Because right now the education formula is jacked up. In fact, our superintendent now ran on that. Hey, I'm going to change this formula. I'm going to fix this formula. Everybody runs on it, but nobody does a goddamn thing about it. Not a one.
Because they can't fix it. They can't fix it. It's a broken system.
No, I think it can be fixed. And the problem is it's made off of historical data. So when it was created, it's not off of. It is a little bit off of students on what it does. Your pupil, right? How many kids you have.
Yeah.
But it also have historical data. So there's primary, secondary, and tertiary funding that goes with that. And it's all off of historical data. It's not off of today's data. And it was created in the 70s. They changed it a little bit in the 90s. And I've got so many ideas for it, and I want to change it. And I talked to my representation, Howard Markline, about it. And he's like, yeah, I'll meet with you. And then I thought, you know what? Why would I meet with him when he's not going to do a goddamn thing about it? Because he's a joint finance, he's the chief of the Joint Finance Committee here in Wisconsin.
Isn't it heartbreaking? Even if you sat and talked with your representative, you don't know he'll do anything about it.
I've been in the military. I know what it's like to get smoke blown in my ass. That's not something that I want to do anymore. I'm way late on that button. I'm way late.
We're by the time I get elected, we'll get that beeper ironed right out. I promise.
I know. What was it? The IRS, or you know what? We're coming down to 18 minutes. I want to ask you some questions, buddy.
All right.
I want to ask you some questions. Oh, really quick. No.
We got any questions in the comments?
Let me minimize this. We have election results. So you watched them last night.
Oh yeah.
You had a party about them. Well, not a party. You were at a watch party, right?
Yeah, so, it was a good time.
So it starts out for a governor. Of course, Evers unopposed. Michaels. Yeah. Any of these, you jump in at any point in time.
Yeah, I always get a kick. So Kevin Nicholson dropped out of the race, and he still pulled almost 25,000 votes. So what does that tell you about the state?
Oh, that's a lot of people holding up their middle finger right there, buddy.
That's a whole lot of that. My God. All right. Yes, that's exactly what that was.
This is all from the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel too. Senate. Mandela Barnes crushed it, so he's going up against Ron Johnson.
Yep, they called that race within 30 minutes of the polls closing. That was the first race called yesterday.
That one's going to get ugly. Oh wow!
It's a lot of these races are going to get ugly. Very.
This one too. Evers has already started in on Michaels. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure they had that pre-planned.
Both of them are already starting in on each other.
It's all going to get ugly. People are freaking tired of the ugliness.
One thing that I noticed as I was scrolling through this, okay, unopposed. Yep. Not unopposed. Unopposed. Had some candidates there. There's a lot of unopposed. Oh wait, never mind. Yeah, you can just keep going through this. So many unopposed. And I question, people don't want to get into politics because it is so nasty and divisive, right? But yeah, somebody's got to do something. But here, Sean Claremont.
Yep.
He wants to make a change. He wants to be a difference. And look, he had 15% of the vote.
He actually couldn't even get into the affiliates to spread any of his information, he was telling me.
Yeah.
Just both. Hey, he called. It was hilarious because he said he called like every single news agency and newspaper. He goes, no one would give him the time of day. No one would even reply. I was like, welcome to the club, bud. Welcome to the club. This is horrendous.
As it scrolls down more into the districts, you see more unopposed. I mean, just riddled with it. Absolutely riddled. There's another one there's a Charity Berry. I think she was up here. Hers hasn't been called yet, and I actually know her. Met with her a couple times. She's a Republican. Um, she approached me at one of the speaking events I was at. I can't find her right now, and she said, kind of wish I was an independent, but she had a point. She wanted to try it as a Republican, and she's got a very close race. That should be called probably by tomorrow. They're still like 0.137%. She was down by like 70 votes. It was
Ooh.
amazing. Yeah. So I guess if I could say anything to anybody, give it a shot. There's a lot of unopposed out there.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to make a change. Somebody's got to do that.
Run.
I wanted to
That's
yeah. Sorry, I wanted to jump down to the bottom to the other election quick.
yeah. Go ahead, hit it.
Attorney General, unopposed here. Well, he's obviously incumbent. This was a closer race. Eric Tooney. And I saw this guy up at a Republican speaking event. Younger gentleman. His parents were police. This guy really knew what he was talking about. I'm happy that he made it through. I really am.
Yeah.
I like him. Lieutenant Governor. Here we go.
Just look at that though.
People.
It's such a diluted field.
You have people in there that were screaming to be heard, wanted to get their names out and actually make a change, and just wasn't there. It's sad. Yeah, and then Lieutenant Governor Sarah Rodriguez obviously took that one pretty easily. Secretary of State, I don't really care because I'm voting for Neil Harmon, so it doesn't really matter. Libertarian guy.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know him or not, but you do.
He's a good guy. Kind of like him.
Secretary of State. Here's your Democratic choices. Here's your Republican choices. Where are the Libertarians? They're not shown. They're not shown.
Nope.
Yeah, so just another way to suppress the outside people that are screaming to make changes, isn't it?
Even if they just put our names up there and showed our vote count, that helps with the advertising. But we don't even get that. Even when I went to the poll station, the guy hands me the ballot, and before he hands me the ballot, he goes, the Democrats start from here and they run to here. The Republicans, they start here and they run to here on the backside. And then he hands me the ballot, and I'm like, are you going to list the other parties on here? Or are you just going to say these main two? And then I flipped it over, and I pointed. I'm like, that's me. You need to start telling people about all the parties on this ticket. And I said, there's going to be people coming in here after me. I know I'm going to be calling them to verify that you did tell people about all four parties that were on there.
What did he say?
He said, I will start.
Good. That's the way it should be.
Yep.
And I'm so sorry, but primary elections piss me off. They really do. Because, sorry, taxpayer dollars are paying for Republicans and Democrats.
Yes.
I mean, because they're not doing anything for the Greens, Libertarians, or Independents, or any of those. It's all about Republicans and Democrats. And let's face it, they are not part of the government. They are an entity. No. They're an entity that gets elected to the government. But yet,
political organizations, all political parties exist and organize resources to get tax dollars should not be used for the primary process.
Yeah.
That should be all done internally with your party.
Yep.
But just like every other crooked organization they figured out a way to use your money to fund their events.
Yep. Exactly. All right. We only got like about 10 minutes left. I want to ask you one question at least. At least one question for this.
All right.
So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. You got to pick a number and how they were sent. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pick a number.
Number 3.
Number 3, my lord. Number 3. Number 3. How will you promote social justice, i.e., racial, economic, gender, immigration, worker, reproductive, restorative, disability, etc., right? You can answer this question as many times and as different ways as you want, but please keep each recorded answer to 2 minutes or less, it says. Okay, so how would you promote social justice? and maybe racial or economic or gender or immigration or worker or reproductive. Holy crap! I didn't know there was that much to it when I sat there.
All right, let's pick. That's gonna take more than 2 minutes.
It is. Well, why don't you pick two of them? Pick
All right.
economic, gender, immigration, work, reproductive.
How about immigration? Let's go with
Immigration.
immigration. Okay. First and foremost, we need to fix our immigration process. It's an absolute mess, and I can only imagine that the immigration office is just as much of a conundrum as the VA. I know, scary thought. Government agencies do not work well with the level of bureaucracy that they have in place. Now, as one of the main driving forces as to why we have people showing up on our border using the asylum process, use it versus using our actual immigration process. Yeah. It's usually very cumbersome, very expensive. That we have to fix, because right now we actually give those that are on our southern border a lot more harder time than we do for those that are immigrating from, say, India or China. Okay, we have to be able to have an equal playing field across the board for immigration processes, and right now it's an absolute mess, and neither Republicans or Democrats want to come to the table and actually fix it. They want to argue over building a wall or not building a wall. Both, I think, are not good ideas.
What is the most deadly?
Can I sneak that in within the 2 minutes?
You're good. What is the most deadly border in the world?
The deadliest border in the world.
Yep.
Someplace in Africa.
U.S.-Mexico border.
Really?
An average of 600 and some people die there a year.
I was hoping that wasn't the one.
Right. I know.
I was on the tip of my tongue when I'm like, please don't be it. Please don't be it.
Right.
And it was.
And the forced hysterectomies that were happening too, and that was during Trump's administration. Yeah, it was. Yeah, how many people die at the U.S.-Mexico border? U.S.-Mexico border recorded over 7,000 migrant deaths along the U.S.-Mexico border between 1998 and 2020. It's 20 years, so 20 divided by 7,000 puts it right at 300 and some, right? Is that right? 700.
You're the math genius.
Oh, I'll screw this up, and we're live too. About 350. So I was a little high. Well, I was high on the approximation. I wonder if that's gone up, and maybe that's what I read. I'll have to look into that. I'll check into it. Did you want to address?
Definitely.
So, really quick, I'm going to give you number 2. How will you work to reduce? How will you work to reduce the growing incidence of gun violence in our society? How will you work to reduce the growing incidence of gun violence in our society? And I'm going to be honest with you. I'm throwing these at Jake. Like, he has no idea where these questions come from. So this is
totally blindfolded. Yeah.
So you got a lot of gun violence though.
So
how you gonna fix that?
Yes. I'm a firm belief that an armed society is a polite society. The government is not going to be able to fix a gun violence solution. That's something that has to be changed culturally. And first, we need to stop watching all these movies with guns. Thinking it's acceptable for Hollywood to be running around doing all this years afterwards. Gun violence is something that has to be taken seriously. You got to be able to protect yourself. That's what it really comes down to. If the government could solve gun violence, it would have right now. It really would have. Is there measures that we can put in place? Yes. Is it going to be as effective as you being a contributing member of your community and having neighborhood watches over each other's homes? No. Is it going to working directly with your police departments on a basis as to what things that are happening within your community? Yes. Is it going to having customized law enforcement officers that can handle mental health situations? Yes. All of these things that we can do, but that solution doesn't come from Washington, D.C. That solution comes from working with your local sheriff and your local police departments within your own communities. Taking care of the Federal Reserve is actually getting those resources back into your pockets to actually fund these organizations within your communities.
Attaboy. I think the red flag laws would probably need to be
Yeah.
addressed too. I think there's some that are stupid, and I think there's some that need to be added. I think it's
There's
a whole rework of it. The mental health, there's so much mental health out there, and there's so many triggers for it, and there's so many, you know, things that people can identify. They'd be like, hey,
yeah.
this person should not have a weapon. And Facebook and YouTube's and all these other organizations can help, but they're not, right? They're using that targeted audience, and they're going after those people with those conditions to maybe help promote their own. Yeah, they're going to target them more. So I don't know. That's just me.
Then the downside is when you trust the government to do that, the government can and will be one day used against you. Case in point, the former president of the United States just had his personal residence raided by the FBI. Okay,
they could do it to the president.
Blows my mind. You think they're not going to come after you? I mean, that's where the trick comes in here. So people bring up red flag laws and like, you know what? We know this person is. I get that, I do, but we can't trust that level of authority anymore. Maybe you could back in the day. Maybe you could. You just can't. You can't trust these individuals within these institutions. I'd like to. We would all like to, but look at the level of corruption that is seeped into everything.
No,
it's impossible.
I totally agree with that. You can't trust them. I 1000% agree with that. But can we build an organization that people can trust? Can we build something that people can have confidence behind, right?
And that starts from the bottom up. We can rebuild faith in our institutions, but we have to do it starting within our local communities. And then from those own local communities, we start building from the bottom up, just like my model for school. Okay, we can also do that for the DNRs and the EPA. That all can work in the same exact manner and function. Build it from the bottom up. What standard of climate protections do we want to put in place right here in Door County? What standard are we going to have for our businesses that we need them to comply to right here in Door County? Okay, stop worrying about everywhere else in the United States. Let's fix it right here in Door County. Let's fix it right here in Brown County. Let's fix it right here in Kewaunee County, O'Connell, Marinette. Okay, we can do all of this stuff locally. And when we start leading by example, because the 8th Congressional District happens to be filled with a bunch of leaders here in the United States of America, we can do this. Okay, we don't need the top up, because when it comes to the top down organizations, now it's getting used as a weapon to actually help fund other business adventures. Okay? Regulation right now from the top down, more or less, is used to help bully around startup companies because regulation is expensive. And that's what ends up happening. That extra regulation squeezes out the littler companies. It makes it harder for startups to get involved within that. Try starting an oil company right now. What kind of effort, what kind of capital do you need right now to start up an oil company?
Can't start one in the United States. They're not happening.
Exactly.
If you want to see an example of it, look how Ronald Reagan implemented the drinking age from 18 to 21, where he used that carrot that says, hey, states, if you want this money, you got to change your drinking age. So, good example. Let's wrap it up, buddy. Jess Heisel, I am right now trying to get caught up on my my home work / to-do list. Absolutely love it. Love playing with libertarians. Love playing with independents. It's been a blast. If you guys ever want to do some research on something, get a hold of me. I'll figure it out. But that's all I'm doing. But Jake, he's the busy guy. He's the one doing everything. Yeah. Where do people go for more information? What do they need to do, buddy?
Oh, you could definitely check out. We got a secondary website now. If you're interested in science or some literature, definitely check out www.kickmikeout.com. It's going to be a great time. I love that we got that nailed down. I actually got a little nervous with Sean Claremont in there. First run that came through, he put up some pretty decent numbers. I was like, oh, crap, we got a wasted website now. If Sean but and we ordered T-shirts with it on. I'm kind of glad that things turned out the way that they did, so we didn't have some rough T-shirts. But definitely check out our website. Definitely order up a yard sign. We asked for a donation, but not required for a yard sign, and it goes into our network to get that placed out into your yard. So check it out, www.kickmikeout.com. If you'd like some further details specifically on the campaign itself, where I'm going to be in the next couple of weeks, so you can come and meet me. I want to shake your hand. You can find that at www.jakeliberty2022.com. And also, and always, lpwi.org will definitely get you some information on the Libertarian Party of Wisconsin. Hey, there's my calendar. We ain't got the powwow in there.
Look at that.
That's beautiful.
Next week, we're going to be going more live on Jacob Vandenplas' Facebook or one of the Chasing Liberty Facebook pages. That way we can pull in more comments from your group, from the people that are following your campaign. So we're going to shift from the forward one and move over there. I think it's time to get more feedback from your side of the. It's your race, man.
I like it. I like it.
Gotta get you in there. So, hey, thanks for watching, everybody.
Thank you for tuning in. We really appreciate it. Meet here live next week, Wednesday at 7 p.m. Thank you all, and come back and join us while we chase liberty with Jake.